When you look at somebody out on the street that has full tattoos, a back piece, under their neck, behind their ear, on top of their forehead, they got tattoos all over. You might say to yourself, you know what, that must be the toughest person on the planet regarding their pain tolerance. But what I have to tell you is that if you really wanted to know the components to get a painless tattoo, I've been getting tattooed for the last 15 years, and I'm approaching my final tattoo. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the lowdown on what it takes and what you would have to use potentially to get a painless tattoo. Stick around and I'm going to break it down step by step. Once again, if you're going to venture down this road, you'll have no issues, and at least you'll have a leg up on what you want to do next. Now that we established that you want tattoos, you looked around, you've been searching on the internet, and you found your motif, you found what style you want. It's either color, it's grayscale, whatever it might be. You say, you know what, I'm going to book my appointment. The thing that I want to tell you, just as an aside before we get into how to hack a painless tattoo, is that I highly recommend the neck area, the face area, the hands, and anywhere that you cannot cover as a male or a female with a suit or something long sleeve. I would truly think about staying away from those areas getting tattooed, because when you're 18, your lifestyle in your life could be quite different now if we go into the future and you're 38 years old. I would like you to think about that before you take your tattoo journey to the next level. I keep saying to you that you can get a painless tattoo. A lot of people, once again, things become an echo chamber. Being in pain is part of the process. The only problem is that you want your tattoo sessions to be enjoyable. Number two is that your tattooer will appreciate the fact that you're not squirming around on the table, and he or she can work, and it can be a little bit more of a conducive work environment. Also, thinking outside of the box, you may book a tattooer who's out of the state or out of the country, which means you might want to stay on that table for 5, 8, 9 hours. Not that I recommend that, but you might have to stay on that table because you want to maximize your sessions. And also consider, some of these tattooers are so popular that it may take you a year to book with them. So sometimes understanding pain management when it comes to tattooing will only help your journey go that much quicker, because usually a lot of times you start out with an outline and you can't wait to go back because in your mind you have a product that you would like to finish. Keep in mind, you don't have to tolerate this massive amount of pain. There is another way, and this is where I'm going to start to break it down for you. If we had to look at the human body like a physiology lesson, and I'll try to simplify it for you, there's the outside or the exterior of your body, and then there's the interior of your body that has pain receptors. What we want to try to do during your tattoo session is basically nullify, at least for a certain amount of time, those pain receptors. So when we start with the exterior, just understand that it has to be some type of cream or ointment that you're going to apply to your skin. But once again, it's really not that simple, and I'm going to explain to you why. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to try to source out a ointment or a cream that's basically going to numb your skin for an indefinite amount of time. One thing I always will recommend to you is that you need to be under a doctor's care. And once again, I am not a doctor. So I always recommend going the pharmaceutical route before you go the commercial route. And what I mean by that is that the commercial route is something where you're perusing the internet or the dark web, and you basically find an ointment or a cream that's going to tout that it's going to help numb your pain. So some of the issues with that is that there's something called a proprietary blend. A lot of times you might be familiar with that term regarding the world of supplements, where people can basically make them in their basement or they can mix them in their bathtub. And then there you go, you have a supplement that you paid about $75 for that can kill you. Now, the thing with an ointment or a commercialized cream that you can purchase, once again, the authenticity we would be unsure of. And then also consider, Do you want to run the risk of A, it not working when you're on the table, B, you getting very sick, and 3, you can potentially die if it somehow infects you, so on and so forth. Always be mindful of the source of whatever product you're going to use. Now, the holy grail of the pharmaceutical world when it comes to numbing agents is 5% lidocaine. The silver medalist, in my opinion, would be something that has a 2.5 consistency and another 2.5 consistency of a prilocaine and then also a lidocaine. In my opinion, I have very thick skin, and due to the fact that the texture is so thick, it did not penetrate well, which in turn, it did not work well for me. It may work well for you. And then there's other derivatives that could be out there when it comes to these ointments or these creams. Then you realize that you need a doctor, and you might say, why do I need a doctor for this? Is that a lidocaine product pharmaceutical is considered to be a controlled substance. So once again, you would go into your doctor's office. I'm not telling you to do this, but just something maybe that I would do and say, look, I'm going to get tattooed. I'm going overseas. I would really like to take the jump off the needle. Do you think that you can help me? I'm not going to eat this lidocaine that you're going to give me and get hooked on whatever the case might be regarding this chemical. You would have to kind of reinforce that with your conversation with your medical provider. That's going to be important. So now you sourced out the particular product or ointment that you would like to use. Now the question is application. Now, a lot of people, they're a little bit of noobs. Let's say you're getting your shoulder tattooed. What they're going to do is that they're just going to rub it on their shoulder for maybe a minute or two, and they're going to think that, hey, you know what? This is unbelievable. Nothing's going to happen. I'm going to be numbed out for 7 hours. The only problem is that the professional perspective would be something called a compass or cardinal points. And what I mean is that if you're getting the middle of your shoulder worked on, you would work to the east, the west, the south, and the north of that muscle. To make it even simpler, you basically would go to the tricep, bicep, and the rear shoulder, and you would liberally apply this particular product. Because once again, there are pain receptors that are tunneled or routed differently, and you may feel pain if you do not shoot for the outside of the surface area that you're getting tattooed. Another pro tip when it comes to application is going to be, you could get your significant other to do this, but I recommend a professional massage therapist about 2 hours before you're about to sit on the table and get tattooed. And what this therapist is going to do is they're going to take a liberal amount and they're going to deeply massage it into your tissue for at least a half hour before you go and get tattooed. As an example, so you understand the time frames. If your appointment is at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, this ointment should be applied at 11 o'clock. So that means your appointment would be at 10:30 because they're rubbing the ointment in for a half hour very deeply. And then once again, you need time for the product or the medicinal compound to actually work. Once again, tying all these components together will once again, hopefully you will achieve a painless tattoo. Now that you achieved your ultimate rub down and the ointment got slathered on your body, the next step, and it's very, very important, is going to be a 2-step process. I like to call it a double bagger. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to wrap that particular area in saran wrap, and you're going to tape it. Then the second thing you're going to do, and this is a professional tip that my tattooer gave me, is that you're going to buy leaf bags. And what you're going to do is you're basically going to punch your arms, your head through the bag and wear it like a little jacket. So what it is that you have the saran wrap, you have the bag over it, and it's basically keeping the product in. It's keeping it slightly warm, which will activate it. That's the process regarding application and also wrapping this medicinal compound. Now that we explored the exterior of the body regarding numbing you out and making it more pleasurable for you, is that now the second thing, and I'll have to speak to you cryptically, once again, you're going to seek out your medical provider and explain that you're going to get tattooed. And then there's many different types of candies that could be administered or deployed when it comes to numbing out your pain receptors. Now, keep in mind, we talk about controlled substances. One thing you need to realize is that your doctor may be hesitant in giving you what you want, or at least enough for the tattoo sessions that you would like. Once again, I am not a doctor, but if we have to look at you having a more pleasurable tattoo, the exterior and the interior has to be somewhat modified for you to have nullified pain receptors and try to push through that tattoo. Don't get me wrong, there will be pain at times depending on the part of the body that you're going to get tattooed. Keep in mind the instep, the ribs, the hands, wherever there is really no meat or tissue or an abundance of on your body will hurt more than others. So just keep that in mind. I hope your tattoo journey works out. Be safe. Always be guided by a doctor. Once again, subscribe, and I hope you got something out of the information. Thanks. Talk soon.